Hi, I'm back. Hi there guys, welcome back to the channel. It's been a long time. In fact, it's been almost a year to the day that I published my last YouTube video. And there's been reasons for that, absolutely. There's been some personal reasons. 2022 has not been the easiest year for me, unfortunately, and my family personally. Just lots to get on with, and obviously, you know, from a business point of view, there's also been an incredible amount of work to be done post-pandemic as we kind of recovered and got back to where we were sort of after the pandemic. So unfortunately, I've had to prioritize some elements of my daily life to ensure that we kind of kept up with all the productions that we're part of. But you know what? I've missed YouTube, and I've missed, you know, reaching out and being able to help people with DaVinci Resolve in particular. So one of the things we've been doing is we've been transitioning away from the sort of video production side of things, much more into the teaching. And one of the big things that I've been doing as part of that is producing a lot of online content in the form of online courses for DaVinci Resolve 18. And I'm really delighted to announce that I don't think I have done yet, but my DaVinci Resolve beginners course actually officially launched just very recently and is open now to go and get. In fact, there's also a 40% off code that if you'd like to go ahead and purchase it, you can use that. There's links below and we'll come on to it a bit later. But I'm delighted to say that we're back now and we'll be looking at making sure there's way more content on the channel. Thank you for those of you who are subscribers and have been so for a long time. It really means the world to me to know that you're there watching and regularly coming back to view the content and hopefully taking lots away from it as well. If you're new here and you didn't know any of that, then hi, welcome. We're going to have a lot of DaVinci Resolve 18 content coming out very soon and also some video tips and hacks as well for things like that. But also, if you haven't subscribed already, it's a great time to jump on board, join the community, and I'd love to see you here. Now we've done all of that, let's crack on with today's video content. And the main thing, as you may have seen in the title, is that I haven't yet upgraded to DaVinci Resolve 18 myself. Which is possibly quite an odd thing, but I'll tell you why I haven't. The main reason I didn't want to upgrade to DaVinci Resolve 18 immediately, particularly on my main work machine, is purely because I had projects in progress and I really didn't want to have any issues with the upgrading process. I didn't want to have any issues with anything not kind of translating properly in 18, or obviously possibly taking on some of the bugs as well that, you know, some people have seen in the early stages of DaVinci Resolve 18's development. But the time now has come. It's time to upgrade my main machine to DaVinci Resolve 18, and I'm going to walk you through some of the steps that I take to make sure that I've got everything backed up and secure, and also how I go about doing a clean install of DaVinci Resolve every time I upgrade to a new version, purely because it keeps the thing running fast and efficiently. So, with that said, let's hop onto the machine and I'll walk you through what I'm doing. So here we are inside DaVinci Resolve 17, and I've got the project manager open in front of me. I want to find my databases there so I can start going through the backing up process. So just in the top left here, I've got a little icon. I'm going to click that to reveal all of my disk databases and my PostgreSQL databases as well. So I now need to go through the process of backing up all of these individual databases. So you simply go to the database you want to back up, come up here to this little icon and click backup. And then all you'll do is you find a place for yourself to back it up to. So in this case, I might back this up to the desktop or another location. I like to try and make sure my database backups are going online somewhere, so into the cloud. So I've actually got a location already saved in my Google Drive. So I'm just going to go there, database backups, and I'm going to save it in there. So I'm going to just back that one up there. I'm going to replace the old one that was there, and I'm going to back up over the top. And it's backed up really quickly. This is a very small database though, so obviously depending on the size of your database, it may well differ how long it actually takes to back up. But I'm going to go through and do all of those individually, and actually, lucky for you, I've done that already, so they're now all backed up. If you wanted to back up your individual projects there, you could absolutely go through those. You simply right-click on the project thumbnail, come down to Export Project or Export Project with stills and LUTs if you've already done some grading, and then you export the project. Again, choose where you'd like to save it, wherever that might be, and just hit Save. You don't need to do this because obviously with the database set up in Resolve, it's very easy indeed to kind of keep everything nicely contained with the project manager. However, if you're maybe switching from a different project software and you like the idea of having a project file, then absolutely you can export a project file and then keep it somewhere just as a backup. But I'm quite happy that I've backed everything up here in terms of my databases and the projects within them, so that's great. I'm going to shut that down now, and I'm now going to launch into one of these projects. And I'm going to start backing up some of the other important things that we might need once we switch over to DaVinci Resolve 18. So I'm just here in the edit page, and the first thing I want to back up actually is some LUTs. So let's come across to the color page, and you can see I've got the color page open in front of me, and if I open the LUT gallery, you can see I've got some LUTs loaded into DaVinci Resolve. Now, there are a whole bunch of different LUTs here. These are the ones that actually come as standard within DaVinci Resolve, but where do these all live? We can go to project settings to find the location for all of these. So come down here to project settings. That's the cog in the bottom left corner. Alternatively, you can also go to the top left, come down, and project settings is here. It's also Shift 9 on the keyboard. So we're going to open that up, and we've got our project settings here. I'm going to come to color management down the left hand side, and then we have this section called lookup tables, and you'll see that we have an open LUT folder button. So what we're going to do, we're going to click that open LUT folder button, and this is now going to reveal to us the location of that LUT folder, which is where all these LUTs are, and you can see that they are listed here, and they're the same ones in here. So that's all very well and good, but what's the actual file path? Well, in this case, we've got, on a Mac specifically, we have two library folders. We've got a system library folder, which is this one here, and then we also have a user library folder, which is this one here. So what we need in this case is the system library folder, and then we're going to go through to application support, Blackmagic Design, and then we've got DaVinci Resolve, and you can see here we've got LUT, and that's where all the LUTs live. So if you had LUTs, you could install them into this location, and they would appear inside your LUT gallery inside Resolve. So if you wanted to, you could back this whole folder up. We're going to just go a little bit old school by right-clicking. I'm going to go copy that. I'm then going to navigate back to my desktop, like so, and I'm going to create a new folder called Backup, just for the sake of today's example, and I'm going to paste it in there. Done. So I've just moved all my LUTs there. Now, that's not necessarily the only location of LUTs inside DaVinci Resolve. There is other places you can bring LUTs in from. So if I just keep off that for a second, and I'm going to actually do this in DaVinci Resolve, I'm going to go to the Preferences, and under the System tab, I'm going to come down to General. And what you'll see here is that we actually have an option here for LUT locations. And in DaVinci Resolve 17, they gave you the opportunity to bring LUTs in from different locations, because you may already have a really fantastic LUT library and they're all beautifully categorized on your system level, and you just want to keep it there. And in which case, this enables you to do that without having to bring them inside of the Resolve infrastructure. So just quickly show you how I do that. Go to Add, choose Location, and I've got a LUT folder here with some LUTs in it. They're all broken down into separate folders. So I'm going to go LUTs, open that folder, and then hit Save. And you'll notice that nothing's actually updated right away, but if I just right-click anywhere in the LUT gallery space and hit Refresh, what you'll notice is that all those new LUTs are now dropped in, and I've now got two LUT locations. So there we are. But of course, that external LUT library, so to speak, or that external LUT location that I've loaded in is already backed up. I don't need to back it up again as such. So I've done the initial backup of the system LUTs, and that's really helpful to us. Now moving on, I'm going to go over to Fairlight, because there's definitely some presets in Fairlight that I want to make sure carry over to DaVinci Resolve 18. So in doing that, I'm going to come over to the Fairlight, come up to Fairlight, and I'll just show you in the presets library. You can see I've got some equalizer presets, some dynamic presets, and also a Fairlight configuration preset, which is certainly very important to me, and I want to be able to use that in productions going forward. So I need to make sure that those are saved. Now, there isn't a neat way of finding the folder where these are saved, like we did with the LUTs. We just have to know that it's in one of the library folders. So let's go back over to Finder and open up a new window. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the user library, and I'm going to scroll down until I find Preferences, and then I'm going to go to Blackmagic Design, and then to DaVinci Resolve, and then to Fairlight, and you'll see in here we have a whole bunch of Fairlight stuff, but most importantly the Fairlight presets folder, and this is the one that we want to back up, because you can see here under Console Flexi there is my Fairlight configuration. That's the really important one for me, so I'm going to just do again a copy, then go back to the desktop, and into my backup folder I'm going to put the presets for that, and that's done. So now we're going to move on to our Fusion templates. Now obviously within Fusion you can create Fusion templates that can also be available in the edit page, and there's bunches and bunches of these out there that you can go to different third-party websites and download lots of different templates, Fusion effects, things like that, transitions, and they're all really important. If you've got a bunch of them, you want to make sure that they carry over and are available for you inside DaVinci Resolve 18. So what we're going to do, just going to quickly go to the Fusion page, as I said, open up the Effects panel. Once we're in the Effects panel, I'm going to come to Templates. You have to be on Templates for this to work. If you're on Tools, the ellipsis menu actually won't open and show the folder, which is where all these are stored. If, for example, I was on OpenFX, open it up, it doesn't show it, it's actually grayed out. So templates, these are all the templates that I have installed, and you can see a lot of these are from MotionVFX, which I do highly recommend if you haven't heard of MotionVFX before. It's a fantastic site with loads of amazing effects and resources for DaVinci Resolve, so that's things like titles, transitions, and as I say, other effects as well. And they're really neat and tidy, especially when you're doing production that needs to be quite quick, because you can simply load it in, it makes it available in the edit page, and then you can just start dropping stuff in to your production and getting on with it, rather than having to create things from scratch, because that can be very time consuming. So there's loads of different packs and bundles available, some from your very favorite sort of YouTubers and things like that, and there's bunches of stuff available here, and these are really good, and I definitely want to make sure that these are available to me. But equally, within inside the templates, within that you've also got things like titles, and there are some titles in here that I've got which are older, and I do use them in other things, so some kinetic titles, some shape transitions, things like that. So I want all of that to come across. So where can I find these? Well, if I go to the templates and then go to ellipsis and click and show folder, this will show me the folder. And you can see we talked about the two library folders. There's the system folder, and then there's the user library folder. So in the user library folder, you can see the breadcrumb trail just at the bottom here, library, application support, Blackmagic Design, DaVinci Resolve, Fusion templates. And in that, there is where I want to make sure everything is saved. So I'm going to right click, and I'm going to copy. And again, I'm going to head to my desktop. And inside the desktop and the backup folder, I'm just going to save this right here like that. There we go. So that saved those, and we can then obviously bring those in when we go back to DaVinci Resolve 18, or when we go forward, I should say, to DaVinci Resolve 18. One thing is worth noting, if you're interested in MotionVFX and you want to check it out a little bit more, please go and head over. There's a link in the description. I do have a special user code for you, which is Depiqd10, and it will get you 10% off any of your purchases. So do enjoy that. I certainly really like them. One of the things I really like, actually, and it helps from a backup point of view, is that if I come down to my applications folder, they have this special little installer called MInstaller, and what that does is it essentially allows me to load up my MotionVFX account, and then inside of there I get to see all of the stuff that I've purchased, all of the stuff that's installed, and I can very easily use that application to install things for me inside DaVinci Resolve. So obviously, if I ever lost access to those, I should be able to quite quickly and easily bring them in again thanks to MInstaller. So that's really nice. Do appreciate that. Anyway, that's most of the stuff that we need backed up. I'm just going to come across and do one more thing. I'm going to come across to DaVinci Resolve, come to keyboard customization, and then inside keyboard customization, of course, this is where we can lay out all of our different keyboard shortcut layouts depending on whatever you like to have. Some obviously keyboard shortcuts will be very unique to you. You may want to take those with you. So DaVinci Resolve Sideshow FX Pro 2 is the one I'm currently using, and this is a specific bundle that helps me with my Elgato Stream Deck, which I have just in front of me here. And it's a really particular bundle that is all laid out beautifully for DaVinci Resolve. There's pages and pages of instant fingertip shortcuts, which are just right there, and I use them all the time. I actually got it from a particular site called AE Scripts, and I'll put that in the description below. There's no affiliation at all to that. I just really like it. It works really well. It sits right here. And actually helps with the mini panel and just extends a bit of the use of it and gives me some extra function. So I really like that, and with that you get this profile that you have to install so that obviously all of their key mapping makes sense. So I definitely want to make sure that comes with me. Of course, the default ones are all there, so you could always export one of those if you wanted to, but the way that we export this particular user one is I come across and then come to export preset and then choose the one I want, and that will then ask me for a location. So let's save it in the backup folder, hit save. Okay, so with that done, I can just close that down. Let me just load up that folder again, and I can show you that it was saved, and it's just saved as a TXT file. So just a simple text file, but it's got all my keyboard shortcuts in there, so I can easily just load that configuration in when I move forward to DaVinci Resolve 18. So with all that backed up, and it's worth taking note that the only reason that I've gone to such length to back all of these things up is because I'm going to completely clean install DaVinci Resolve. We're going to completely remove it from our system and then reinstall it. So I would suggest that at the lowest level, what you should absolutely be doing is making sure you at least backed up your databases and your projects, if you want to go that far and back up projects as well. Probably anything that's mission critical to you, like maybe the presets here, the templates possibly are important, maybe not the LUTs, but those things are important, and they may not carry across. If you were going to do just an install where you bring the latest version down, use the uninstaller from the software package, and then reinstall Resolve, you don't need to do all of this. I've only really very rarely or very recently started doing it this way because I've got more presets, more templates that I've started using, and I want to make sure that they stay sort of there and at least have an access to them should something go wrong. Cool, so I've now successfully backed everything up, so I'm really happy that I've got everything in a right place. So now it's time to go and download DaVinci Resolve 18. So I'm going to head across to Blackmagic Design. So Blackmagic Design, I'm going to go to the support page. So blackmagicdesign.com/support. If you're in the UK, you might want to add a UK just in there as well. But once we're over here, we're going to come across to DaVinci Resolve and Fusion Software. And once we're here, we're going to look for the latest update. So in this case, I am going to go for it, and DaVinci Resolve Studio for 18.0.4 update is the one that I want. I'm going to download that. I'm not going to give information because I've already registered previously, so I'm just going to hit download. And that will go ahead and download for me. And while that's doing that, what I want to do is also just come back into Resolve, and what you may want to do is deactivate your existing license, just so that it's very easy when you come in. You will need your license key, so just make sure you've got your activation key and your serial number handy, because it will prompt you for that when you load up the next time. So I'm just going to go ahead and do that and deactivate. Fine, and then I'm going to quit DaVinci Resolve. So while DaVinci Resolve 18 downloads there, I'm just going to take a moment to talk to you about the online courses that I've recently just released. So at the moment we have the beginner's guide to DaVinci Resolve, and that is now out and immediately available. There's approximately 15 hours worth of content, all broken down and chaptered into nice bite-sized videos that you can follow along with loads of downloadable media and also some associated learning materials as well. So there's really lots to get stuck into right away, and as I said, it's available now. We've already been getting some fantastic feedback from it, and it's just perfect for anybody really who's looking to begin their DaVinci Resolve journey, whether that's brand new to video editing or you're coming across from a different software. It really is a great place because we cover media page to deliver page, so we're really looking at all the pages, giving you just a really good knowledge of all of the different parts of the application in that respect, so that you've got that grounding and you can just cut that learning curve in half and really start to be fast and effective with DaVinci Resolve. I've dropped a link to the beginner's guide in the description below, along with a 40% off code. So DVR40 off will get you 40% off the entire course at checkout as well. So hopefully that's something that's appreciated. Equally, we've got other courses that are coming soon as well. So the course for color will be coming out the end of this year, hopefully, so end of Q4, and that's currently only £99 if you went and purchased it, because it's on 50% early bird release. We've also got the Fusion, Fairlight, and the advanced editing courses to come as well. So there you go, that's all I wanted to say about it. Hopefully it's something that you'll really enjoy. I've taken a lot of time and effort to put these together, and as part of the course creation that we've done, we've actually become a Blackmagic Design online training partner as well. So we really are working very closely with Blackmagic Design and the DaVinci Resolve training team to make sure that we're putting out the very, very best content that we possibly can. So I'd be really thrilled if you take a moment to head over and check it out, and hopefully we'll see some of you inside the course. Right, DaVinci Resolve 18 is now downloaded, so let's go back to the install. Okay, so now that DaVinci Resolve 18.04 has downloaded, I'm just going to get rid of this particular tab here, and I'm going to go to my downloads, and I'm going to grab DaVinci Resolve 18.04 and open that up. Okay, so now that's opened up, I'm just going to open up the installer. And I always think it's a good idea to save the manual, so this is the most recent manual, so I'm just going to save that again. So I'm going to copy that, I'm going to head to my desktop, and I'll put it in the backup file for the time being. Let's just put it on the main desktop, let's paste it there. There we go, so that's now on the desktop, and it's good to have the most recent manual handy and available because it is a really good reference guide. It's massive, massive, massive resource. So we're going to go back in here, and at this point we're now going to uninstall the old version of Resolve. So I'm going to click the uninstaller, and I'm going to go uninstall, system password in, and it's been uninstalled. Now I do this every time, even if it's an integral update, I still go ahead and put in the uninstall Resolve and then install the new version. Even if I don't do a complete clean install and wipe the folders and everything, I'll still do that because I think it just makes a big difference, and I generally have very few issues with Resolve, so that's very important. One thing that we are going to do as well is, because we said we were going to do a completely clean install of DaVinci Resolve, we're going to go to these other library folders as well, and we're going to clear out the DaVinci Resolve stuff that doesn't get taken out by default. So this is the user library, application support, Blackmagic design. This folder here we are going to get rid of. So we're just going to delete that. That's gone. I'm going to slide down to the preferences, Blackmagic design, and I'm going to remove that folder. And then I'm going to go to my system library, and I'm going to go application support, Blackmagic design, and then I'm going to come to DaVinci Resolve and I'm going to clear out just this one here. Okay, and that's gone. So now we've got a complete clean slate. There's no DaVinci Resolve left on this computer at all. So it's now time to install 18.0.4. So just click on that to get it going. That will run through the normal installer package. Again, this is obviously for a Mac, so PC users, you'll have to stick with me because there will be something similar for the PC. And we're going to install that. And we'll let that do its thing. Okay, so DaVinci Resolve 18.0.4 has now been installed. I can simply close that. I can move the installer to the bin, close that, and equally, I can get rid of the zip file, and I'm done. Right, so that now should mean that DaVinci Resolve is now back on my system. And if we look, we can see DaVinci Resolve is installed on the system and all of the nice things that we've got there. Incidentally, the manual actually is part of the installer package, so it does stay here on your computer as well, so you've always got access to it. I'm just going to drag DaVinci Resolve back onto my dock because I like it there. Also with DaVinci Resolve, when you install or uninstall DaVinci Resolve, you also get the Blackmagic proxy generator as well, which is a fantastic standalone app that helps you to create a watch folder that will automatically create proxies for you. It's very, very useful, and it's kind of an integral part of how DaVinci Resolve 18 is going to work, especially when it comes to things like cloud collaboration as well. But the beautiful thing about this is it allows you to create proxies outside of Resolve while you're working in Resolve, because previously when you did proxy generation in Resolve, it would essentially lock the interface while it was doing it, and that was obviously a bit of a pain. But this is a standalone app, works really well. We'll touch upon that in a later video. But for now, let's load up DaVinci Resolve 18 for the first time. Okay, so we get a what's new in DaVinci Resolve 18, so lots of exciting things here. You can see the simplified proxy workflow that I was talking about, the neural engine support obviously for the M1, surface tracking overlays, object mask, which is really cool. We'll definitely cover that in a later video. But I'm going to hit continue, and we're almost there. There's a quick setup if you'd like to, or you can skip and jump straight in. So we're just going to skip that and jump right in, and we're going to get DaVinci Resolve asking us for our activation key. So out comes the activation key again, and let me just type mine in. There we go. We're going to activate that. So remember, that's why I said if you deactivate your license, you're going to need your license activation key. So we're all good, and we're into DaVinci Resolve 18. So here we are, default, it loads into the cut page for us, and we're now ready to have a little look and see which bits have carried across and which bits haven't carried across so well. So let's do that sort of in, I suppose, reverse order. So first things first, we need to look at our project manager and see what we've got here. Project Manager is going to look quite different for you in DaVinci Resolve 18 because it has been given a bit of a refresh. We're now talking about local, network and cloud databases. Cloud databases, actually, we should actually completely stop that now. It's no longer called a database. It's now called a project library. So we now have local, network and cloud project libraries. And obviously, if you have a Blackmagic Cloud account, which is completely free, you can then get a Blackmagic Cloud account and you can start creating cloud project libraries which can be shared with all sorts of different people across your team. If you do create a project library in your Blackmagic Cloud account, it will cost you a small amount per project library. So just bear in mind that a project library is still the house for all of your projects. So it's only something I think like £5 or £10 per project library. So if you wanted one of those, you could pretty much do one cloud project library and then have thousands of projects inside it if that's what you wanted. We're going to go back to local, and again the little button for the project libraries is right here, so we can click that to show or hide the project libraries. And as you can see, none of our project libraries have come across, so this is something we need to deal with right away. So you can see here we've got different options for storing things. We can restore them, and we can add a project library as well. So first things first, we're going to go and restore some of these project libraries. So we're going to restore. We're going to go back to our databases that we saw earlier. So in my case, my databases are saved in the cloud. So I'm going to come into the cloud, database backups, and my most recent one that I'm using at the moment is this one here. So let's bring this one down. And this is an opportunity for you now to essentially create a project library. So in this instance, I'm going to bring this one down. So I'm going to call it the same, exactly as it was the same name before. And I'm going to locate the location of it where I'd like it to be saved, which in this instance is in here. So this is where I want it to be saved on my computer. I'm going to hit open and I hit create. And I'm going to restore. And it's successfully been restored. I'm going to hit OK. And we can see here 2022 is there, but this little green arrow that we've got here suggests that an upgrade is required, because remember this was originally a database backup from 2017, from DaVinci Resolve 17. So if I do an upgrade and I upgrade the project library, hit upgrade. This may take a moment or two depending on how large your project library is. There we go. And across has come my 2022 project library. And I'm going to do the same thing again. And I'm going to bring in my 21 training one. And I'm going to bring that in, 2021. And that's where it's going to live. And hit create, hit restore. This one will be quite quick. There we go. But it will need to be upgraded. So I'm going to do that. And sure enough, it's been upgraded absolutely fine. So that's what we were. I'm going to go ahead and restore the rest of my databases. And in some instances, obviously, I already saved my databases on my system. So instead of actually restoring, I'm going to connect one. So I'm going to add a project. I'm going to connect, and I'm going to connect to the project library 2021. I'm going to hit browse. And then this time, I'm not going to the database backup. I'm going to where that database was stored on my system, which was in here. And then when I create a database, I always create a blank open folder for it to be pointed to, because as you can see, when I look at that 2021, there's no physical 2021 database file, but it's in this folder here. So I like to just point it to the open folder, and that does the job. So 2021, I'm going to reconnect. There it is, it's reconnected, but I will need to just upgrade the project library. And there we go, that's flashed back. So I'm going to do the same with my other libraries. I'm just going to connect, I'm going to browse, find the one I want. So in this case, I'll put in 2019, hit open, 2019, connect, and then I will upgrade this one. Very good, so that's all done. One more to do. And in this case, I'm actually going to bring down the backup, which is the 2022 backup. Which I haven't done, so let me connect it. So I'm going to connect to 2022 training. There we go. I'm just going to upgrade that one, which will take no time at all. Perfect. So let's jump back to the project library that we were in earlier. So now that we've got our projects all back, I'm going to jump back into this project just by simply opening it up. So you can click there. You can either create a new project, close. There's some other new features that we'll talk around in another video, because this has changed a little bit and I like the functionality and the way that they've made the changes to this. Let's just go into this project, we'll load it up. So back to where we were before. Now what you need to do is check on all the other things that we were bringing in. So like the LUTs, let's have a look at the LUTs. So in here, open the LUT gallery. Great thing is all of my system LUTs have been brought across, because of course they come with the application, but the other LUTs are missing. So as we did before, we can of course just go to the project settings, which is here, come into color management, and then we can open the LUT folder and we can see where those LUTs are, or we would go to Preferences in this case, because I'm using a separate LUT folder location, and I'm going to go to General in the System tab, and I'm going to add the location of my LUT folder, which is just here in my movies. And I'm going to open that up, and I'm going to hit Save. Remember, nothing will happen right away, so I'm going to right click and hit Refresh. There we go, and you can see that that's just updated and brought all of those LUTs back in. So that's the LUTs are all sorted. Now what about the Fusion templates? Well, let's go to the Edit page, and in the Effects panel, just here, I'm going to open that up, and we'll see what's sort of come across here. So in terms of titles, yeah, none of my ones that I want are there or have come across, so we need to bring those back in. So let's do that. So we know that the Fusion, if I jump into Fusion, open the Effects panel, go to Templates, show you the folder, and of course in there should have been a bunch of templates. Now I can do that a couple of different ways because, as I said, MotionVFX allows me just to install them quite easily, but we still have our little desktop, so I'm just going to open the desktop up in another window, and we've got my backup folder, and I'm going to bring my backup folder in. I'm going to bring in the contents of my templates folder and let it go. It's going to ask me if I want to move them. Perfect. That's great. And you can see, oh, they've just all updated, and now I've got all of them in there ready to go. Sometimes you might need to reinstart Resolve to see that, but that's working really well now for me. So there we go. I'm just going to scroll back on the same system, on the same sort of user library level, and I'm going to come into the Preferences, DaVinci Resolve, Fairlight, Presets, and I'm going to load in my presets. So let me come back to my window here, and we'll get the desktop up again in a new window, and we're going to bring in the presets folder. There it is. So in fact, I'm just going to bring in, I'm going to get rid of that one, and I'll bring in all of these, and I'm going to go, yep, all done. So that is my presets and my templates and my LUTs all done. So I'm happy with that backup. I can get rid of those. And then the final thing to do is to bring in the keyboard shortcuts. So let's do that now. So again, I might need to just double check in Fairlight whether these preset libraries have come through. And it doesn't look, yes it does, in fact they are here. They have come through, so that's grand. So we're happy with that. So the last thing to do is come up to the keyboard customization. As you can see, we've got our basic standard keyboard shortcut layouts. But I'm going to come in here like we did before, and rather than export the preset, we're going to import the preset now, and I'm going to go and find my TXT file, this one here, hit open, and you can see all of my keyboard shortcuts are just loaded back in, and we are good to go. So that's that now. I can just close that off, and we are now ready, happy, fully updated in DaVinci Resolve 18.04, and we've brought across everything. We're very happy that everything's going to be working, and we can crack on. So there we go. Hopefully that was quite streamlined and pain-free for you. And yes, there are quite a few steps and a few things you need to remember to make sure you do, but it's well worth taking the time to do that when you're doing an upgrade, particularly when you're doing a big upgrade, when you're coming from 17 to 18 in this case, because you just don't want to bring with you any bugs, any sort of issues, and it's just much better to have a nice clean install, make sure that the system and the application are just running super quickly and efficiently, and you'll be off to the races. So hopefully that's helped you, and if it has, do let me know, hit the like button and just let me know that was a good video. Equally, if you've got any comments, feedback, I'd love to know about that. I'd be happy to help and dive into those comments for you as well. So do let me know on that regard as well. That'd be absolutely smashing. Equally, if you are a subscriber already, then fantastic. You're amazing. Thank you so much. If you're not a subscriber already, then this is a good time to consider subscribing. Just jump on there, press that button down there, subscribe to the channel, and you will then get notified as well, especially if you turn on the bell, of course, that the next videos come out and it's ready to watch. And we are going to be producing some more videos much more regularly now, so there's definitely something to subscribe for. Okay, with that said, thank you very much indeed, guys. I'm going to catch you in the next video. Have a great rest of the week, and I'll see you very soon.